have you ever felt like your Spanish is, correct, but still sounds like a translation straight from English? You say your phrases out loud, but they still do not sound natural to you. And people do understand you, but sometimes you sound a little off, and they would also ask you to clarify what you just said, or sometimes they will correct you, but that's not always the case. It's like your brain is still working in English when you switch to Spanish and you just throw in words and translations here and there. It is definitely not an automatic process in your mind. Today, I'm gonna walk you through 5 reasons why this happens. And more importantly, I'm gonna show you how you can fix this so that you can sound more natural, and also to have this certainty that what you're saying is actually correct and something native speakers would actually use, especially when you use your past tenses in Spanish, because as we know, we do have imperfecto tense in Spanish, and that is not a tense that exists in English. So switching between these two tenses, sometimes it could be a little overwhelming. So if you want a free guide step-by-step on how to use these two tenses the right way, I do have my free mini course that you can access to right now, well, at the end of the video, so that you can get to learn the differences and also get to add more structure to your conversations when you speak in the past tense. You can find the link down below in the description. And yeah, let's start with the video. Reason 1, you're translating word for word from English. This is like the classic mistake because this happens to a lot of people. This is something that used to happen to me in English. I would keep using Spanish structure, fill the gaps with Spanish words, and then I would eventually learn the words in English and the structure wouldn't change. And I felt like that was a successful thing to do. I felt quite confident after that, but still I knew I wouldn't sound natural because I was using the Spanish structure for saying things in English. And in your case, it's gonna be the exact same thing. So we need to fix that. We had a good time. Tuvimos un buen tiempo. Esto no suena natural para nada. La manera correcta sería nos la pasamos muy bien, nos divertimos mucho. So the grammar might be fine because you're translating directly, you're using past tense in a situation where you would use past tense in English, but it doesn't sound natural in Spanish. And that's because we just wouldn't say it that way. That exact expression does not exist in Spanish. And of course, in Spanish, we would say things you would never say in English. If this type of thing is happening to you, I do have a video where I go over 6 of the most common mistakes my students commit in Spanish. And this is mainly for the past tense, so you can go check it out as well. I'll put it down in the description too. Reason 2, you know the rules, but not how to sound natural. I'm pretty sure you know fui is for specific actions, and then era is for like your background description. But when you try to speak, you notice it does not sound natural to you. And that's because you did memorize the rules. That's good. But now you're lacking intention. You have to put yourself in situations where you use those two tenses together so that you can use phrases that come out naturally and without overthinking the fact that they're correct or not. So in examples like cuando fui niño versus cuando era niño, you're not saying something wrong, but these are two different things, and that is what matters when you try to decide which tense to use, because the first thing that will come to your mind is the rules. Is this rule the one that I should use for this situation? And this is why I'm telling you intention is what really matters. Reason 3, you understand a lot, but you don't practice actively. Maybe you watch shows, you listen to music in Spanish, or you follow Spanish-speaking creators also on TikTok or Instagram. And don't get me wrong, that's amazing. That's great practice. You're letting your brain know about Spanish existence. So that's great. You can always make it part of your learning routine. But here's the thing, you're probably practicing in a passive way, and you need an active input. You need a way for you to kind of figure out what they're saying. And that is what's gonna make your learning experience more meaningful. It's like watching singing videos without you actually trying to sing at all. You do need this active factor in it. And it's not always like actually speaking and like saying things out loud, which you could, by your own when there's no one around, that's something you can definitely do. But also making an effort to listen to people without subtitles. And of course, you can use subtitles as part of your learning routine, but you have to have different inputs. Watching shows with subtitles, watching these other short videos with no subtitles, and really challenging yourself so that you can notice the improvements and your progress when you learn. If you listen, your brain will recognize the structure, but when it's time to speak, your brain, what's gonna do is just go back to the default English structure. Reason 4. Your native language is running the show. And this is somehow connected to reason 3, or it's quite connected to reason 3, but this is more to like the translation part of the issue, because a lot of people cannot form a phrase without going through the translating process in their mind. Stop filling the gaps with English when you speak in Spanish. And for a lot of people, that could be a good thing at first, because that will help with fluency. Like, you don't have to stop and think for a word forever, but you have to acquire this Spanish thinking by looking for other ways to say the exact same thing. So that would be another excuse for you to use more Spanish. And of course, sometimes it will be redundant, but you're not gonna fall into this comfort zone of just switching to English. That is something I'm dealing with right now. And I've looked for help to solve this issue, because at first that's what I would do. I would just fill the gaps in Spanish, especially because I teach Spanish. I would just explain things in English and like put the words in Spanish in between. And that kind of became natural for me after 4 years of doing it. And 4 years, it's a long time, because my English was limited to a learning environment. I couldn't say many things outside of the lessons in English, so I would always go for Spanish instead. And that is what I want you to avoid. And of course, I'll be sharing with you all my methods for you to overcome, or just not falling into this pretty comfortable scenario that over time will become an issue that you will have to solve. So I was just editing and I realized I didn't say much about this reason number 4. So I created a whole video about this single reason. I just recorded it. I'm gonna put the link down in the description as soon as I upload it. And I pretty much take you through the whole process of whatever is happening in the student's mind when forming a phrase in the past, compared to how native speakers would do it. Reason 5, you haven't automated natural sentence patterns. And you might know how to conjugate your verbs in Spanish, but if you have to think too much for words in Spanish, the pronouns and prepositions, English will sneak back in. I mean, for sure. You have to face new structures for you to stop thinking mid-conversation about a verb that you're missing or a word that you're missing. Because as you know, in Spanish, we have a crazy amount of pronouns, a crazy amount of prepositions, and many students would tell me like, Ray, I mean, I know I can speak Spanish, but still I cannot reach the speaking speed or velocity that I would use in English. In many cases, they will have to stop and think of the words themselves, because they haven't automated those structures and process. So what can you do to sound more natural? I wrote some things down, and number 1 is learn full expressions, not just individual words. The crazy amount of progress you can get out of this. I mean, look, I mean, learning phrases instead of words. That is going to take your Spanish to the next level right away. And here you can focus on a specific dialect. Thankfully, many idioms are quite similar to English, but there are some idioms or phrases that would sound quite different, of course. That's what's going to make you sound more natural, and it's really going to make you sound like a native. And of course, there will be new ways for you to express yourself. This is something I already mentioned, but practice out loud. I know this, I mean, having your own space to practice, it's a privilege for many people, but please look for a way for you to practice when cooking. And this is beneficial for many aspects of your second language. I mean, phonetic wise, it will be way better. You can also add new structures to your speaking, like in the daily, of course. You can talk to your inner voice as well. And number 3 is try out new ways to learn. I mean, don't get stuck with a certain app or a certain method. You need to have different inputs of learning. And that is exactly why I made this 3-day free mini course for you to have another way to practice. You have exercises with 3 PDFs, audio activities where you can also practice out loud, and of course material for you to go over more structures and add those to your past tense conversations. So if your Spanish still sounds like a translation, you're not broken. It's not your fault. This is the best time for you to fix those mistakes. And of course, feeling more comfortable with your second language, which is what we are looking for, right? You just need to practice a little differently. And it's very important. Sounding fluent is not about being perfect. It's about being confident using your Spanish in real situations. So I'm going to put the link for the mini course down in the description. You can start this free course right now. And I'm also going to put the link for episode 1, where we go over 6 of the most common mistakes my students do when speaking about their past as well. So let me know down in the comments which of the different reasons you identify with the most, so that I can probably do another video explaining or going deeper into that specific issue. Muchas gracias. See you in the next one. Adios.